'Cause we've got the creative glue.
Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Creative Glue, where we're continuing to explore the common bond that brings creatives together. I'm your host, Scott Robinson, and today I'm chatting to one of Asia's most prominent editors and stylists, a woman who unapologetically and often hilariously marches to the beat of her own drum, Grace Lam. So, Grace has got over 27 years worth of experience working in the publishing industry across Europe and Asia. And she's worked with Vogue in Italy, China, Japan, Australia. She's worked with a whole range of people, including Estee Lauder, Christian Dior, Burberry, Adidas, and Porsche, which we'll get onto some car stuff later. And she's also worked with talents internationally like Jude Law, Hugh Grant, Kate Moss, and Naomi Campbell. So we didn't think Grace could get any cooler, but she's also a self-professed Formula One fanatic and a completely obsessed.
Lewis Hamilton, go!
No, Michael, no. So she's rubbed shoulders with the great man himself, Mr. Hamilton, as well as Fernando Alonso. And rounding out her impressive resume is, of course, the fact that Grace is a passionate advocate for sustainable living and facilitating open conversations around menopause. So after living in across Asia for 12 years, Grace has relocated to the beautiful shores of Perth in Western Australia with her photographer husband Jason and son. And she joins us from Perth today. Grace, tell us, how did you find yourself in the sunniest city in Australia? And tell us about the change of pace.
Well, I mean, today is very English. It's been very English for the past few days. I'm like, dude, I don't want to live in, go back to UK for now. What's up with the weather?
I know, right?
It's been a few years since we relocated from Hong Kong to Perth, because Jason's originally from Perth, but he kind of didn't want to. He didn't think he was going to come back to live because he left here for about 25 years. So when he left, he was, I don't know, 17 or whatever. Very young. He moved to Sydney, and then it was very analog in Perth. So it took a bit of convincing from my side for him to move to Perth. And we left Hong Kong, obviously, because of the Hong Kong protests, and Hong Kong overnight became, very unstable, which was very scary. From a city that's very safe to suddenly the most, unstable city in the world. We were kind of feeling very scared and didn't know what the future could hold, especially in the creative world. So we kind of discussed, and it would make a very quick decision about leaving. And then we came here, and then COVID hit. So I was like, whoa, whoever up there is looking after us.
Yeah, what a lucky break.
Yeah, it was the best place to be in WA during COVID time for sure. And then our son, he was pretty young when he left Hong Kong, and I think it was definitely the right decision.
No, look, it's an amazing place for to raise kids and a fantastic growing creative community. So we're very fortunate here in Western Australia. That's for sure. It's come a long way. So let's have a look from the beginning and go back to, I suppose, where this all started from you. And I know you graduated first class, sort of degree honours in graphic design, and that really took you through this career. Can you give us maybe a bit of a background on that journey and how you've ended up to getting to today?
So I was born in Hong Kong, and I went to high school in UK. We went to UK boarding school, and so I lived most of my life in the UK. And then my family is very business minded. Like my dad is an accountant. He's got a firm, and he passed away a few years ago. But very clever man. My mom is like fabulous, and she's a stay-at-home mom, and my sisters are all very academic. So I guess my twin sister and I are a little bit more artistic. And then after high school, I went to live in Paris and took a gap year out trying to learn French. But then I dated a German guy, so that didn't work out very well. Got the wrong memo. You don't go to France to learn French and date a German guy. Anyway, so then I went back to UK and did like a foundation course in Chelsea Art College. And then from there, I got into St. Martin's. But I didn't do fashion. I did graphic design. And during that period, it was when the bubble Mac, the original Mac, which is like a bubble. So that when it came out. So I was in that era of graphic design. So St. Martin's was a great place. But it was a very free art college. So they just leave you alone and do whatever hell you want. And then you go to critique, maybe 2 weeks later. It was the structure wasn't the strongest, but because of, of the reputation and because of, it was bang in the middle of London, Covent Garden, it was in a prime spot. And for me, it was so cool to go to St. Martin's as a student, it was you just, at 20 something, you're like, it's the coolest thing you can ever do, and then but because the college has such good reputation, they use a lot of like external tutors and like lecturer. So that's when I met Terry Jones, who was the original founder of ID magazine, the street Bible magazine.
Awesome.
So then he was so cool, and then I started talking to him, and he was like, oh, would you consider being a stylist? Because I can see you dress very well. I'm like, what is that? I didn't even know what it was. He was like, oh, well, come and intern for us. So I started interning during my last year at St. Martin's. And it was kind of like an eye-opening for me, because I've never done anything like that. And then after I graduated, he offered me to be his PA. But back then I was just being, like naive and, egotistic and go, oh, I don't want to be your fucking secretary. I'm like way better than that, So then I wanted to do creative stuff. So I thought, oh, that's not what I want to do. So I declined, which in hindsight, I should have taken it, because that will be like a really quick and easy way to get into the fashion industry. So instead, I didn't take it. And then he hired someone else. And it was very difficult for me to watch that person who got my job.
I can imagine.
Because I was still like working as an editorial assistant in art department first, and then the fashion department. And that I ride it out for about a year and a half. And it was really difficult because, I had to do all the shittiest job when I was like watching the new PA doing everything I wanted. And I was like, shit, that was stupid decision. It was a stupid decision for my part. And then I left ID because there was no full-time position. And then I went to assist other stylists, freelance stylists, and then went to Marie Claire for a few months. And then realized, I'm so not Marie Claire style. I learned a lot from different stylists, which is great, And then, but through ID, I met Edward Enningful, who was the fashion director at large at that point. And he was already so famous and he did so well back then even. So then we met, and then I guess he liked me. And so when his assistant left, his office called me for an interview. And I got the job straight away, and I started the next day. And then 5 days later, he threw me to like Milan, and we did the Joe Sander men's show. And I was like shitting my pants because I've never done any big shows like that. And then, it was kind of like like he threw me in a deep end right from the start, and it was the best way to learn.
That's amazing that, so you found that journey almost regardless of what decisions you were making. So, there was obviously some destiny there.
It was meant to be, but it was meant to be, but it took a longer way than I would have hoped. But the day before he called me, I was in Soho Square with my friend just having lunch, and then he's a photographer. So I was like, you know what? Screw this shit. I'm just going to send my CV to like a Formula One magazine. He was like, oh, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. Something. There must be something I can do in that magazine. And then the next day, Edward called me, and that was it.
Unreal. So thinking back, you've gone through this journey from design to fashion and through this thing. What was your earliest memory where you went, I really want to be creative, or you found yourself just naturally being creative?
I think I've always had that in me because my mum is actually very creative in terms of like dressing and fashion and stuff. I'm like the youngest of 4 girls. You can probably tell, brat. And my mum has always been very fashionable, but she's colorblind, which is so fascinating, right? She can't see certain color. She can't see red. She can't see gray. She can't see purple, but she can deck out some amazing outfits. And she's a very colorful person. So I think through her sense of good taste. All of us have very good taste in the way we dress, but all that very different style. I'm the most adventurous out of all four of us. So I think through that, she has a lot of influence on me from creative wise and fashion wise. And I actually thought I was going to be an interior designer when I was younger, because I was really into like reading interior design magazines when I was really young. And even when I went to boarding school, my mom used to send me like magazines to my boarding school so that I can keep up. But then eventually I just kind of lost interest, and then I never knew what I wanted to do. Even when I was at St. Martin's, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think for my journey, everything kind of planned out, just happened the way it is. I never planned anything. I'm not a planner. So it was interesting to watch the whole thing unfold. So,
I think it's, and that's the beauty of these sorts of journeys, I think. And most creative people you talk to, sort of the way that they find their way there, and it's just something that's natural and instinctive at the end of the day.
Isn't it annoying with those people, like when they know what they want to do and they have like a 5-10 year plan? I'm like, fuck you. Who the fuck are you?
I'm 45 and I'm meant to know what I'm doing, but I still don't know what I really want to do. It's just, I'm just enjoying everything that I do every day. So
yeah. I think one good thing about moving to Perth is that it enables me to stop and think what I really want to do. I think I kind of know, but I don't know whether it's the right path or not. But when I was living in London or Hong Kong, or when I worked in New York, Paris, those first tier cities are so busy, and you're like in a rat race basically. You have to keep up, you have to go to all the parties, mingle, all of that, all the shebang that everyone needs to do. But moving here, it enables me and Jason, my husband, to slow down and think what we want for our lives and also for our family, and to kind of think what we don't want to do, which I think most of the time people don't have the privilege to do that and stop and
most
think,
definitely. Right? And so with your creative process, do you find that you've got a structure to how you come up with these magical ways that you're going to put, textiles and colors together? Or is that all gut feel? Is it how you feel in that moment? Is it something that you see and you just go, right, I can pull these things together, I'm going to make this from nothing? Or do you have some type of process that you go through?
So for example, when I was at Vogue, so let's say I would be given a brief by, the editorial team, we need to shoot color blocking for your next shoot. So what I would do is I, do my research online, find some interesting previous editorial that I like, and it's always like Stephen Meisel, Craig McDean. So, and then I will look at like, stylist references like Grace Coddington, all the stylists that I love, and trying to get some interesting element from them or from the art world or anything I see on the street. So then I would create like a storyboard on my desktop, and usually I have about, I don't know, at least 5 shoots on a go. So that's why I became very organized. But I was even very organized when I was assisting Edward, during that period, because he wasn't that organized. So I had to be very organized. So I was his fashion assistant and his PA. So it was really good training. It was quite hardcore, but it was very good training. And it let me become very organized up until now, so whether it's like personal or professional, I'm like super anally organized. So I would do the storyboard, and then I would email all the fashion PR, all the brands, say, hey, this is my story. What kind of clothes do you have? Can you send me pictures? And I will pick and choose the right type of clothing to suit my story, and then create some kind of look. And I don't really do total looks, because some of the Vogues, they do, especially like American Vogue, they like doing like total looks for advertisers reason. Luckily, Vogue China didn't really have that kind of rules. So, and I'm not like that, and I love mixing slightly less prominent brand or independent brand with, high-end designer stuff. So that was my thing. And then so from there, then I would get on my assistant to pull in all the clothes so I can see it. So when I first went to China, so I moved from London to Shanghai initially for Vogue China. So that was 2005. So during that period, there were like big fashion brands PR there, but they didn't have like really huge samples. So samples are the clothes that they set aside for fashion shoots only. So if you dirty it, I mean, you still have to pay for it or dry clean it, but it's not as precious because they don't have to sell it. So I would call in all these clothes, and then I think the first shoot that I did, because I was so used to the way Edward Enninful worked. So when we shoot Italian Vogue, like ID, we called in like 20 rows of clothes for 6 pictures. That's just how we roll. Because sometimes it sounds like a lot, but it's not actually a lot. Because sometimes some things don't work on set. Sometimes outfit works in your head, but when it's on the model, it doesn't work. So you have to change. So you need to have loads of options. And I like options. So when I first moved to Shanghai, the way I structure my email is very clear what I want. So I think people are not used to that either. So the beginning of my career at Vogue, all the PR was like, who the fuck is this Grace Lam? Why is she just so demanding? I'm like, welcome to my world, people.
I know what I want.
Up your fucking game.
Step the fuck up. I love it.
Yeah. So that was it was an interesting journey for me because I was so not used to the way they work in Shanghai. I've never worked in Asia in my life. So that was my first time. And I couldn't even speak Mandarin when I moved to Shanghai. So it was quite a big decision for me because I thought, oh my God, quite a Londoner at heart, even though I'm from Hong Kong. And I thought I was going to marry a Brit, an English guy, a geezer. I thought I was going to die in London, which I'm still hoping to die in London, not in Perth. And, marry Italian Perth guy. I mean, who knows,
Look.
But...
No, I was just going to say it's not the worst outcome either. So he's a pretty great guy and a very talented photographer. So
I mean, he's a pretty face. I mean, and then also thank God for him today. He fixed my computer.
Right? It's fantastic. I'm fantastic. So when it comes to, because I want to get to chatting about your collaboration with Jason in a second, but I'm really curious, I suppose, in the fashion world, is not dissimilar to the design world. You're always looking at those next trends. You're looking at what's coming out. Probably in our world, a lot of the time we're working on what's going to have longevity. What's those styles or things that might not just hit a trend for a moment, but allow a client to actually have that design roll for a period of time and it feel a little bit timeless. With fashion, it has such a, I know where they say everything comes around again at some point, but it's such a fast moving beast. Like, how do you keep up with that? How do you stay ahead of that kind of trend or be creating some of those trends? How you influencing people to go, oh wow, that's the next wave of fashion. That's the next reason I should be going out and buying this brand or mixing and matching that or going back to my wardrobe and pulling something out from 20 years ago because it's now in vogue.
Yeah, I mean, fashion regurgitate, same trends all the time. I almost feel like nowadays compared to like in the 40s, 50s or up until like 90s, during those periods are like my favorites because I feel that those designers, they have less technology to excel their design. Therefore, it's all about craftsmanship, whereas now is, there's like gadget, there's like, there's all these technologies that help you to do your designs, right? And it is all about, so if I go suddenly like blank, that means like my perimenopause brain fog striking again. What's that word? I don't know. It's one of those things that now it's really hard to keep up trends because there's so much fashion. That it's just like endless kind of like fashion brands. There's always new brands every month, every week, so it's very hard to keep up. So when I used to, work at Vogue or even ID, we go on style.com and then you look at all the designers and you pick out outfits. So that was a way of like keeping trend and keeping, up to beat what's going on. And, of course we go to fashion shows as well. So I used to, not my favorite thing to do to go to fashion shows, which sounds like crazy to some people. And I enjoy going to Fashion Week to look at the creations. I don't enjoy the whole palaver of like, have to plan out what to wear, and all the shebang outside of the show because it's just a fucking shit show. I'm like, people like peacocking and just trying to like, get noticed or get the photographs taken. I'm just like, it's quite tiring when you're not that kind of person.
The extrovert, introvert.
And yeah. I mean, I enjoy the creative process of Fashion Week, but definitely not everything else.
I can imagine. We often people talk about going on film shoots or photo shoots or TV shoots and the glory of it, and it's just a lot of hard work, really. that's
Yeah.
what they're all about.
And people don't understand why. And people don't understand why you moan about going to Fashion Week. Oh my God, so fabulous. I mean, yes, it is. But at the same time, when you've done like, you know, and we go to like Milan and then London and then Paris and then New York, it actually is quite tiring, you know, 4 weeks out, you know, 4 or 5 weeks out of your schedule. And then when I after became a mother, you know, 2013, I just could not travel like that anymore, you know? And I was like, I've got my own family now. I'm not putting fashion first before. I mean, a lot of people do who works in the fashion industry, and more power to them. But I actually want to spend more time with my kid.
Definitely.
So that's when I thought, you know what, I'm done. And then, you know, my editor and I, the editor-in-chief and I, you know, we didn't see eye to eye, even though we respect each other, and she knows what I'm very good at. And it's a very difficult environment as well, working in the fashion industry, because there are many women. The majority are women, and sometimes I feel like, as much as women always say, you know, we empower each other, which I'm all for it, but reality is sometimes you come to a very difficult situation with women because they get personal, they get, you know, difficult with each other, and I just don't agree with that kind of way of working.
Well, I mean, speaking of having to work with difficult people, how do you deal with having to work with Jason? How does that go? With you go professional and then come home? You know, do you find that it helps that you're in the same industry and that you get to work together, or does that become difficult at times?
Not really. We've never had difficult situations whereby we fight about work, like hardly
awesome.
ever. We fight about things like, I'm always like, can you fucking put the towel where it belongs?
The important things.
Yeah, I'm not your maid. I'm your wife. You know, like, can you just pick up your socks? I mean, that sock's been there for like 2 weeks. What the fuck, you know? So we fight about things like that, or like, just like, you know, like family stuff, or like about a kid. I mean, we're very on the same wavelength with, you know, how to bring up our kid. So we're exactly the same, which is really helpful. And so that part is fine. But when it comes to work, I mean, we have similar tastes, but quite different. I mean, obviously, I have better taste than him, you know. Of course. So I think he's actually one of the few photographers that I've worked with that knows his shit about hair and makeup. So usually with photographers, they don't really care as much. He cares so much. And it was quite refreshing for me to work with him at the beginning, because all the photographers I've worked with it. So basically, when I went to Shanghai, I was there for like 2 years. And then the Vogue office had to move to Beijing. Right. And I definitely didn't want to move to Beijing. So, and then my editor-in-chief was like, why don't you move to Hong Kong? We have a satellite office there. It's a smaller office there, but you can just fly back and forth. I'm like, wicked, great. So I moved back to Hong Kong for the rest of my tenure at Vogue. So that's when I met Jason. Right. So he came into the studio, showed me his portfolio, and I was like, oh, he's cute. I bet he's gay. And then once I found out he's not gay, I'm like, oh, great, put your pants down, you know? So
I love it.
Which doesn't quite fly nowadays, you know, with all these like sexual harassment. And I didn't harass him. It wasn't like that, people. So stop jumping into the conclusion. So yeah, we met in Hong Kong, and then he was shooting a really famous Asian actor for like a huge budget, like, you know, a casino. And I was like, oh my God, you know, who did you sleep with to get that gig? So then he came to the Vogue office, and then I was very busy that day because I was like meeting all these like different like photographers, stylists, or whatever that, you know, that could contribute for us. And then he came in and his portfolio was really good. And I was like, wow, he really knows his like beauty stuff, especially. And then he left the office, and then my beauty editor came back, and I was like, oh, you just missed this guy. He's really good. So then we called him back, and then he came back in to show my beauty editor his portfolio. And she was like, oh, I really want to work with him. So great. So then I kind of forgot about him. And then 6 months later, he emailed me saying, hey, are you interested in shooting together? I'm like, yeah, sure. Come to Hong Kong. And then we start shooting a lot. And then our first shoot was a disaster because the model that I got from the Comcart, she looked great, but she was living in China, so I couldn't see her face to face. And then she showed up. She was very hefty on her bottom half of the body.
Right.
And in hindsight, I was like, oh, that's why her Comcart was always like, like the top, like the top half, upper body, which is so unprofessional, right? And then, so when she showed up, she was very heavy on the bottom, so she couldn't fit into most of the sample size.
No.
Which was a huge problem. And it was like a denim story. And then it was just like, oh my God. And she didn't know how to model because she was new. So I had to teach her a lot. I mean, I'm not a model, for God's sake, but because I've worked with enough models and I know how to direct her. And then Jason's very good at directing. And then I kind of picked up from Jason that he's very particular about hair and makeup, which was so refreshing because most of the photographers I work with in Hong Kong, they didn't care or they didn't know. So they just concentrate on the photography side. So in Hong Kong, I was like the producer, the stylist, art directors, all of that. And it was quite tiring until I met Jason because he kind of helped me with hair and makeup directions.
They had a team.
Which took a huge load off my shoulders.
Yeah, brilliant. So, and
so we worked very well together.
And then, became more than a working collaboration.
And then suddenly I was pregnant with a kid. I'm like, oh my God.
How did that happen?
How did that happen? We were just shooting. Yes.
I love it. So I know that sustainability is a big thing for you as well. And, in a world where we're consumed by fast fashion and we're seeing this all the time and we're seeing, sort of stores pop up everywhere and fashion seeming to get cheaper and cheaper and, op shops getting fuller and fuller. Tell us a bit more about where you're sitting in that sort of, I suppose, drive to get people to think a little bit more sustainably about fashion.
I mean, the planet's on fire, right? And as a stylist, fashion editor, it's also our duty to try and educate people to think differently. I think it's also very unrealistic for sustainable fashion advocates to push, stop people from buying fast fashion because it's not doable because a lot of people don't have the money to buy designer clothes. I think it's very unrealistic just to say, oh, fast fashion is bad. Of course it's bad, but can a low income family afford Dior? No. Can they buy something? Not everyone like to go op shopping because they don't know how to pick things. I have the eye to pick things from any shitty shop that I know I can find something cool because I have an eye for it. And not many people have that kind of fashion sense, right? And I think it's very difficult to say to families when they have children, when they don't have high income, to say, you should stop buying from Target or Kmart. But that's all they can afford. So what do you do? So you can only I would always say to people that, okay, those are really bad brands and it's not good for the planet and they don't pay workers enough and all of that. So you need to know that. But instead of buying 10 items per month, can you please buy 5 items and pick those items, even if it's fast fashion, it's badly made, or trying to take care of it as long as you can. I mean, I've still got dresses or tops that from Zara that I bought 10, 15 years ago because I take care of my clothes. So it's very difficult to tell people, don't buy this, buy more expensive stuff so it can last longer. Yes, we all love that. We all want to do that. But in reality, can everyone do that? No.
It's not achievable.
Especially when there's a housing crisis, the economy is not good. People are struggling. I think as a stylist, I like to be more realistic and more mindful of what I say to people because the last thing you need is for people just to go revenge buy. That's worse. Because you know what people are like, they, you have to do a bit of reverse psychology with them. Don't do this, don't do that. And they will definitely do it. Whereas you go, oh, maybe you should just buy something new. But these are the facts that's happening in the world. then I think it's important to let people think rather than treat them like stupid, because no one likes to be treated stupid, you know?
And it's interesting.
So I think,
It's
go on.
something that was a thematic in season 1 for Creative Glue was a lot of creatives having this sort of creative for good factor. There was something about, yes, I can continue doing my craft and creating, but there's a point where you go, I actually want to use this creative ability for good as well. And I want to turn the dial. I want to change something. I want to make people think. And so, you know, what I'm picking up is for you, that sustainability piece is like, okay, let's not go extreme about that, but let's start being a little more sensible. Here's some real and, easy to manage ways that you can start to be more sustainable without just cutting off your leg.
100%. Like, no, I mean, like, to be honest, I refuse to go and buy like organic underwear or whatever for my son because he's growing and he needs to change his underwear, socks, every few months. Yeah, I don't have the money to buy like designers or things that are like really like super expensive, when it's like basic things like that, right? I don't know who can, if you like, even Elon Musk doesn't like spending money on shit, I mean, have you seen the size of his house?
Exactly.
I'm like, dude, you're the richest man in the world. Surely you can live better. Anyway, that's his problem. But so I mean, I would spend money on things that are like more durable, long lasting, like coat and stuff. That I would definitely advise people to buy, spend more money on. But when it's come to simple things, you just can't go that. You just need to be practical. And I'm a very practical person, which some people don't believe, but they just think, oh my God, you should only buy designer clothes. Not true. So when I lived in London, half of my wardrobe from like Portobello Road, I love like vintage shopping. I have a lot of like vintage clothes. When I moved to Hong Kong and Shanghai, Chinese people are very superstitious. I'm very superstitious. So my twin sister's wedding, I wore this gorgeous vintage dress that I bought from New York, and it was like very expensive. And I wore it, and my mom was like, "We're not poor. We're not poor. Why would you buy secondhand clothes? Like, do you need money to buy a new dress?" They don't get it. And then my grandma was like, "Anyone died in that dress? Why are you wearing dead people's clothes?" I'm like, because it's cool. It's a very different kind. I think it's better now. There's a lot of in Hong Kong that there were quite a few, not a lot, but a few like secondhand pre-loved clothes shops, and then they do it very well. Now, for the past at least 5 years, it's definitely more popular now. So people are more into like sustainable fashion over there. But yeah, I mean, I started running my personal shopping business again. I used to do a lot in Hong Kong. So, I've styled like CEO of like Citibank and, like very rich bankers to social workers or like stay-at-home moms. And I think I'm not into luxury fashion anymore. Like, I don't want to work in magazines anymore. I don't actually, interesting enough, we have to talk about when Anna Wintour called me after this. So I kind of make a conscious decision before I left Hong Kong around maybe 2018, because I used to do a lot of like VIP styling for shops. Like brands will ask me to, can you host a VIP event so we can sell more clothes and you can do styling for customers. So I used to do that a lot, and it was a very good way of making money for me. And then when I tap into the whole sustainable fashion thing, I started feeling bad about telling people to buy shit that they don't need. So then I kind of stopped that part of income, which was quite a big decision because I was earning really good money then, and then so I stopped it, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I kind of turned into more like trying to offer another service for brands. I would say to them, I can do your VIP event, providing maybe you can ask your customer to bring the old stuff so we can restyle them, or somehow trying to work that kind of angle. No one was interested.
Wow.
No brand said yes. They don't give a shit. They just want to sell. I'm like, oh gosh, I mean, if they stop making clothes for the next 5 years, we'll still be fine.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So now with I'm starting again my personal shopping business in Perth. So I do like online shopping, wardrobe workshop 1-on-1, or if it's like a group, or I do face-to-face if it's in Perth, which face-to-face doing styling is much easier. So I can go into people's homes. So what I used to do in Hong Kong, the people contact me, oh, can you revamp me? Can you revamp my image, redo my wardrobe? So I will go into people's home the first time, see what they have. We do like an hour, 2 hours, and I would say, okay, you need this, you need that. And they would say to me, oh, I don't know what to wear with this. I've had this for like 10 years, and I would tell them. So we do that first. And then the next session, we'll do more of like wardrobe editing, and then we'll make a list of what they need and don't need. And then we go shopping, so it's so much fun. I love interacting with people, and I'm very good with people. So I actually really find it really fun to do that. And I'd much rather do that than have to deal with, the luxury fashion side, or just fashion people, or just going to fashion week. I'm just over that phase. I'm completely over that phase. But I still think it's a shame if I don't use my skills to help people. So my goal at the moment is to elevate middle-aged women, menopausal women, because I'm going through perimenopause, and I realized for the past year and a half my body changes a lot. It has changed a lot. So a lot of clothes don't fit, and then you've gained weight in areas that you don't like. And it's very difficult to dress well when your body has changed so much, So I'm on a mission to help these middle-aged women.
And let's talk about that, because you launched a series in 2023. So tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah. As you can probably tell, I'm not a person to shut up for a start or stay quiet.
That's brilliant.
So I like to voice out my opinions, even though, if no one's interested, I don't give a fuck. But, and I just don't understand. I've never had a conversation with anybody in my family about menopause. I knew the term menopause in Chinese because my mom mentioned it 1 or 2 times, but my mom's also a very open person, but she never talked about menopause with me. So when I started going through the symptoms, I didn't know what was happening. And it was a gradual thing when I couldn't, things were like happening very strangely, like, miss my period. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not pregnant. I can't be pregnant. I can't be pregnant when I'm like 48. I'm like, I can't. Ovens is shut and broken and like damaged. So I was like, one child only, I'm fine with that. So when I miss my period, I'm like, oh my God, this is not happening. I can't be pregnant. I don't want to be a mom again. And then I realized that it is the perimenopause thing. So I tap into like Davina McCall, which is a very famous TV presenter in the UK. I tap into loads of like UK medical doctors and specialists, nutritionists, and I learn a lot from them through Instagram. Yeah. There's the only good thing about Instagram that, I have a love-hate relationship with social media. Only good thing for me on social media is to learn a lot from these legit professional people. So through that, I learned a lot from them. And then I was like, people around me don't talk about this enough. I'm going to talk about it. So I want to, interview other women to know what they live through experience that they went through, so we can share, So yeah, I like sharing information, with other people, so they don't feel alone, or they go, oh my God, I didn't know, I thought it was just me that's happening to me. So I think it's really important to tell everyone's story.
And where can people access that?
So I'm quite lazy on social. I've deleted like my Snapchat, Twitter, X, whatever and stuff. The only thing I can deal with now is Instagram. So it's on my Instagram called Grace Lam Style. But I do a lot of like fashion tips as well. This morning I posted something how to wear an oversized men's shirt, which I bought from like a pre-love charity sale. So I show a lot of like how to wear socks. I love socks. So I really encourage my clients, my friends to wear more fun socks. So I do a lot of fashion tips. I do some F1 content stuff, and then I do, menopause. I wouldn't say advice. It's more like my own experience. I suggest everyone to go and talk to their own GP, but it's important to share more and stop. We need to normalize the menopause talk, because surely everyone will know a woman in their life, right?
Well, you've got a mother. You've often got sisters, and aunties, daughters, friends.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a lot of these conversations I think that we're all having more openly now, whether that be mental health or people's disabilities, or these naturally occurring things for more than 50% of the population. It's important that we have these great conversations. So it's nice to have an advocate in these areas for sure.
And also, like, I think different age, different stage, right? You know, like we go through a different period of our life. You know, our mental health change, our body change. You know, your relationships change with people. You know, you might have friends that you don't want to be friends anymore. I mean, I think it's okay to acceptance is very important, and then to make the right decisions for you. You know, I was saying to you, like, you know, when Anna Wintour called me, so we moved to Perth about a year into one year into the time that we're in Perth. Edward Enninford called me one day, and then he was like, "Darling, can I give your phone number to Anna Wintour?" I'm like, "Okay." He was. I mean, I knew what it was about because the day before, my former boss, editor-in-chief of Vogue China, posted on her social saying, "I'm leaving Vogue China." So I knew they were looking for a new editor-in-chief. So when Edward called me, I knew what was happening. So then Anna Wintour called me. I made Jason to set up the lighting so beautifully so I look really good on Zoom. And he was like, "Why am I doing this when you don't even want this job?" I'm like, "Because I want to look good, you know, I want to have a good, you know,
Of
good
course.
impression with Anna." Of course. So that was my, 5 minutes of fame, speaking to Anna Wintour. I mean, it was a family decision between me and Jason, thinking about if we can live in Beijing again, how's it going to work? All of that came to my mind. And to be honest, at that point, and even now, I don't think I want to live in China again. I've done it. I've done that, so I want to do something else. And also, we didn't want to bring up our son in China. And then it was during COVID. I'm like, I'm germophobic. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get on a plane unless I disinfecting the whole plane. So yeah, it was a decision that we made right from the beginning. And then it was interesting. Like when I tell fashion people about that, they all thought I was crazy for turning it down.
Yeah.
But maybe in my 20s or 30s, I'd be like, yeah, of course I can do it. I didn't have self-doubt about whether I can do the job or not. It'll be a shit show. It'll be a lot of pressure. No amount of money they will pay me will justify the stress. But you have to look beyond the title, the freebies, the travel, the glam, right? Because it just did not fit with my family at that point of my life. So here we are. Otherwise I would have never met you.
Well, I know, and of course we've been able to connect not just on the creative front, but on the F1 front. And I know you're a massive fan. And when you were at Emergence, you had talked about this desire to have this group, and now it's happened. That must be
now it happened. I have my own F1 club. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, I can't talk about fashion too long. To be honest, I can talk about Formula One every day.
That's I've got the same problem. I could definitely talk about F1 for a long time and motorsport in general.
So that's why at Emergence, when I said, "Oh, if any F1 fan out there, come and talk to me," I couldn't believe how many of you. I was so happy that I found my people. I mean, whenever I see anyone walking around in the city with a Mercedes hat or Ferrari hat or even a stupid Red Bull hat, I'll go up and talk to them. I definitely go and talk to them because it's quite rare in Perth to find F1 fans.
It certainly had a massive resurgence from the Drive to Survive. Certainly elevated it to another level. So
yeah, but there are two gangs. The pre-Drive to Survive and the post-Drive to Survive. We kind of look down upon those who post-Drive to Survive.
I think I really found F1 interesting when Danny Ricciardo joined, being a Perth boy, an Australian,
right.
and we.
Yeah. You didn't watch when Mark Webber was driving?
Webber, but he didn't quite have the same energy that Dan's got. There's something special about Dan, and he's pretty magnetic.
Yeah, 100%.
And so it's been great to see him in the sport. How long we've got him there for, I'm not really sure, but we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I almost wish that he should have replaced Checo
100%.
so that we can see what he is capable of. Because I think he's still got, he just got a shitty car.
And Checo got his deal, and he's driven like rubbish ever since. So
yeah, I mean, how embarrassing! The last Canadian Grand Prix is that, for God's sake, you have one of the fastest car on the grid, and you're 16 or something.
And then let's just crash it out. Let's just put it in the wall.
Yeah,
let everybody see the floor again.
I almost feel like I really. I want 2024 to like disappear and we'll just go straight to 25 because Lewis is going to Ferrari. I mean, we're definitely trying to go to Melbourne for that race.
Awesome.
I'm going to deck tie in all red, like a Chinese red pocket, money when they give out in Chinese New Year. Everything red.
I love it.
And yeah, we're trying. But you can't buy tickets yet.
Oh.
No. We're on the waiting list.
There you go.
Yeah, we're on the waiting list for them to inform you. They're not selling. I mean, you can buy it, I'm sure on the black market, whatever. I don't want to risk that because there's a lot of money. But the F1 official website, they haven't announced it yet. I'm like, what?
We need to find some better connections, don't we? So get ourselves in VIP or something. That'd be wonderful. I
know. Oh my God, one day. Yes,
so look, before we wrap this up, I'd like to do a little thing for season 2. I'm calling it Fast 5. It's just one-word answers to 5 very quick questions. Sounds easy, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I'll start.
My favorite swear word is.
There'd be more than one answer then, wouldn't there? I love it.
You're gonna beep everything.
No beeping in Creative Glue. It's part of the creative process, I think. Well, I'll start you off with an easy one.
Even cunt.
We can do whatever we want.
Oh wow!
It's our podcast.
So I'm your first foul mouth.
I love it. All right, I'll make the easy one first up. Your favorite jelly bean color?
Bread.
How large is your shoe collection?
Not large.
Not a shoe fanatic. There we go.
I am, but I had to get rid of half my wardrobe when I moved here. And there's one thing about being like, I'm not a hoarder, and that's a problem with not being a hoarder, is that I'm very Marie Kondo when it comes to editing my wardrobe. I'm so brutal. And now when I look at reminders, I'm like, I should have kept that.
I love it.
So there are a lot of regret for, get rid of like half my wardrobe before I move to Perth.
I'm sure you're making other people happy as they pick up a great piece of
Exactly.
fashion.
I'm like, those fuckers got my Prada this, Vuitton that.
She's not even wearing Jimmy Choo the way I would, so.
Yeah. You're wearing that with that pants? What's wrong with you?
I love it. All right, 3 more, little more contentious. Nikon or Canon?
Canon.
Canon girl? Cool.
Yeah.
Favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Love it. And the final one, because I couldn't resist. I'm going to do it to you.
Lewis Hamilton.
Mercedes or Ferrari?
Ferrari.
Oh, we're already in the red camp. We've moved already.
I've already
thrown out every bit of white here.
Can I just say how much disrespect he's getting right now?
Oh, it's pretty bad.
Unbelievable.
It's pretty bad.
And I'm sorry. I don't think George has what it takes to be a leader. I'm sorry. He's so arrogant. You know the way he walks? Like the minute that he went to Mercedes, his walks is different.
Yeah. And
suddenly he's eating like bloody sushi with like, knives and forks. I'm like, dude, you're eating Japanese. Use your fucking chopsticks. Anyway, that's the first thing I spotted when in Drive to Survive, like the season before, last season. And Jason was like, what? I'm like, did you just see him eating like sushi with a knife? And it's like, what the fuck?
Just pick it up. Off we go. Yeah. I'm not a George fan either. So,
no. And anyway, he always breaks under pressure. So,
well, he proved that on the weekend. So, not unusual. Not unusual.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, Grace, thank you so much for joining us today. That's all we've got time for on this episode of Creative Glue, but join us each month as we continue to explore the creative glue that brings us all together. And Grace has been very kind to actually put us in touch with our next guest, which we will reveal very shortly, and to continue that creative glue. Now, if you haven't already, please check out the rest of our Creative Glue episodes. They're all available on the YouTube channel or on Spotify or Apple Podcast. And hopefully you can stay tuned for more episodes of Creative Glue. And that's all she wrote.
Yay!
Creative Glue. Your ideas and my ideas will stay together like glue. 'Cause we've got the creative